I like to speak in I statements, and I think it's really helpful for others too as well. But if I was to just talk to every person who talks to me with comparison, like, Aaron, when we're doing this and we, when da da da, and I go, hey, hold on. It's not when we and you, it's I, because I don't know anything. But there is a part of me that's thinking that because I know how rigid I could carry this stuff, and I'm like, but that's just how people are talking. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily always the case that everyone who speaks in you doesn't have the ability to be accountable. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
It does, and I'm smiling because in the early days of my recovery journey, where I was trying to teach everybody about everything to do with recovery, because it was a lot easier for me to focus on other people than it was to focus on myself. I was that person who corrected everybody when they were using you statements and trying to switch them into I statements. And one time, this guy stops me and went, "Can you stop being such a pretentious wanker?" And I I was like, oh, I didn't realize I was being that. I was trying to help you. So, yeah, I totally know what you mean by that.
It has its place, the balance, right? It's
Yeah, and the thing about language is that it is an incredibly powerful thing, right? And it does play a significant role in managing those thoughts and those feelings and those behaviors. Because if we are telling ourselves, like you're saying, Aaron, and yourself, Jody, as well, if we're using those, well, I should be doing this, or I can't handle that, or they shouldn't be speaking to me this way. There's an absolute to that that then is going to create this emotional response, which then kicks in this rigid behavioral response. And when we get stuck in that kind of rigid way of looking at things, we end up going down all sorts of rabbit holes. So just trying to take a step back and look at it from this point of view, in my opinion, opens up the possibility of going in a different direction, just to say the least. I don't know. Does that
well,
make
and
sense?
sorry, one thing I want to say to that, Stephen, is that when I go through that exploration, that's where the unconditional self-acceptance becomes really difficult because I land at parts of my personality that I go, well, that's not me. I wouldn't do that. I'm not that way. And it's like, yeah, I am. I have the potential at least to be, and it's like, because I think about it, and it's like, wow, there's a part of me that's being a very big bully right now. It's not a bully like, give me all your money, kid. It's more of a bully like, you better do what I demand of you. You better listen to me right now. You better do that. You better do as I've said, or I'm going to use love to counteract and, and withhold it from you or in some way. It's like, I'm going to bully you to get and it's like, wow, I don't want to be that person. Well, why am I becoming this person? What is the objective here? And accepting that there are parts of my personality in those moments that, like I say, have a behavioral response that doesn't coincide with me being the person I want to be. And accepting that part of me is, I guess, still on a daily basis, the hardest part of this journey is that those parts of my personality are really hard to deal with. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing. Wow, it sounded like Fargo and Lego, then. I think the big thing that was really important for me to get my head around, looking at it from that kind of perspective, was the intention behind the behavior that the part of my personality, or the behavioral response that's kicking in for me. I don't want to get into too much parts language because I know that's not a huge part of smart recovery, but when there is that behavioral response, the intention behind that behavioral response, or the intention behind that thought process, the intention behind that thing that we do, is usually not what the outcome is. Usually the intention behind it was in some way to try to help, some way to try to comfort, to soothe, to escape from, to keep us safe, to protect in some way. And I think if we start to get our head around that, and again, this is going back to what we were saying with Pam earlier, going back to accepting the why and not necessarily the what, right? Looking at, okay, why did I respond that way? Which means we've got to be compassionate though, right? Setting aside those judgments.